What's up, IG? What's up, Facebook? We finna record. Woo woo. All right, let's get it. Y'all, you ready? Okay. Yo, yo, yo. It is your girl, Rose Gold, here bringing you the very first official episode, season 3 of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Man, oh man, oh man. Have I missed you all? I'm going live right now on Facebook as well as Instagram, and I just missed the microphone. I miss interacting with you guys. I've been getting dumps and dumps and dumps of emails. I've been replying as fast as I can. So if you've sent me an email about anything regarding the show and I have not gotten back to you, please, please, please understand I am not ignoring you, okay? I am just slowly working through them, okay? Listen, we survived 2020. If you are listening to this broadcast podcast right now, you survived 2020. So that means that you deserve to be here. And for all of the people that we lost in 2020, I definitely give my condolences to those who were lost with COVID and other illnesses that took place. There were high profile figures that lost their life, but there were also people right here in our own communities who lost their lives, family members who lost their lives for things outside of their control. So, I'm joking, but I'm serious when I say you survived 2020. Congratulations, because we here, baby. And that means that we're going to keep on going. It's 2021, okay? We are in the third month, and it just so happens to be International Women's Month. The other day was International Women's Day, but this entire month of March, okay, is dedicated to the woman. And that's what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about the divine femininity of being a woman. Okay. And this was something that came to me as for those of you that don't know, I'm pursuing a degree right now. And the whole entire framework of this message, this podcast episode, is based on what we've been working on in class, okay? And one of the things that we've been working on is our family history, our family kind of portraits, family trees. But we've also been working on our roles and what that role exactly is in our society and our families and things like that. And I need everybody to know, any ear that's listening to me, if God made you a woman, okay? If God made you a woman, I want you to know that he made you something incredibly, incredibly special. Of all things in the world that he could have made you, he could have made you a bird, he could have made you a flower, he could have made you a fly on the wall. He could have made you a man. He could have made you transgender. He could have made you, hermaphrodite, whatever the case may be. He made you a woman. Okay? And oftentimes, when we think about being a woman, it's oftentimes identified with some sort of weakness. Myself growing up, the women around me were sad a lot. I was surrounded by women who were, hooked on drugs really bad, or maybe selling their bodies, or, just not proud of their femininity and proud of being a woman, okay? And while womanhood is subjective, because I know that we live in different times, femininity will never, ever, ever, ever change, okay? And for a long time, I rejected the feminine side of myself because I thought that being feminine meant being weak. Okay, that's just what I grew up to interpret with the women around me. I felt that they were weak. And then as I got older into my preteen and my teenage years, I started to see the women around me tap into that femininity, and I seen how their lives changed. Okay, so of all the things that God could have made you, he made you a woman. Okay, not only did he make you a woman, he made you a woman living and breathing in the 21st century. Okay, that is powerful within itself. You could have been born at any point in time. You could have died at any point in time, but you're here and you have seen the feminist movement. You've seen the strides that women have had to make all over the world, and you are here. And this is why If you're a woman and you decide that you want to lie about your age, it makes me sad. It makes me sad when I see older women lying about how old they are, or lying and being in competition with women that are younger. You are a woman of that century for a reason. Okay? And it's all ordained and designed by a God that we serve, who is mighty, to put you here and to give the wisdom. Okay? This is why I tell people, even if you are not a Christian or you don't identify with Christian values, you should still read your Bible from cover to cover, because the Bible calls wisdom a woman. Many of women are used in profound ways in the Bible, and it is because what God has placed inside of us, and that is that divine femininity. Okay? When Adam was getting ready to eat that apple, the devil knew not to send him just no anybody. He could have sent a bird. He could have sent an alligator. He could have sent any other species to convince Adam to eat that apple. But he sent a woman. And it's something special about a woman telling you to do something and another species telling you to do something. It's just the difference. It's how God made us. It's what he placed inside of us. And what he placed inside of us is that femininity. Okay? And that's what I want to talk about today. Okay? And one last thing, if you're still not convinced that being a woman is important, or that there's no value, because there are people that will listen to this podcast episode and they will argue the fact that women are not important. You know, there are cultures in the world that considered women to be subpar. And there are cultures around the world that consider women to be not the prize. And I want you to take a look at those nations and take a look at those cultures who treat their women as substandard. They're not very far. If you go and you look at countries and cultures around the world, and even in certain parts of the United States, even in your family, maybe even, pay attention to the people in the places who don't honor and value women the way that they should. I guarantee you, if they are doing things in life, they are very, very limited. And the reason is because the femininity that God placed inside of a woman, when he gave us a canal that gives birth, when he gave us that intuition, when he made the woman, he made something special. And so every nation, every man, and every woman, and every country that does not honor their women, they don't get far. They are severely underdeveloped. Okay? Just go out and do your research on that, and you'll see what I mean, okay? Because an oppressed woman anywhere is an oppressed nation, okay? And if you're still not convinced that the feminine woman is important, I want you to take a look at every relationship. Even same-sex relationships, somebody has to play the role of the woman. Even in same-sex marriages and in same-sex relationships, somebody has to be more feminine than the other. Do you know why that is? I'm going to tell you today, and I'm glad that you're tuning in, okay? Femininity is something that women were born with, and it is a gift that God gave us so that we can live out our true purpose here on this earth, okay? And women have it. People study for long amounts of time who want to be women. They try it. And a lot of times femininity is seen as how you look. You know, you got the hair, you got the nails, and you got the lashes, and you got this, and you got the body, and you have the breasts, and you have the vagina. But I know women who have all of those things, okay? All of that physical components, and they still have not tapped into their feminine power, okay? So I'm just saying that to say, you can identify as being a woman all you want to. You can have, all of the outer appearance of being a woman, but that femininity, that divine gift that only can be placed inside of a woman born is something special. Okay. And for a long time, femininity was considered a weakness. For a long time, women could only cook, clean, and have babies. And I believe strongly that that's a lot of the reasons why our nations could not, here in the United States, why our nations could not prosper, okay? Because the women were confined to only certain roles, okay? Even back into Adam and Eve days, we see these things where women are put in a place where they're not allowed to flourish, okay? Now, the power of femininity is being in the constant state of receiving. Okay? That is the core, um, that is the core being of femininity, is being in a constant state of receiving. Okay? If you're a woman, you have a canal, You don't have a rod, okay? People have to enter inside of you. You are a natural receiver. And when you're in that constant state, you are flourishing at your femininity in the highest power, okay? Now, when I say in the constant state of receiving, I mean not doing, not forcing, not ordering. You simply have to be. And as easy as that sounds, it's very, very difficult because society tells us otherwise. Okay? The media tell us otherwise. Some men tell us otherwise. Other women tell us otherwise. We get constant messages that we have to compete for men. We have to compete for our jobs. We have to compete for respect. And all of that, I want you to know, is taking and sucking the femininity out of you. Do you understand that? And the moment that you escape simply being in the state of receiving, you've tapped into masculine energy, which is not bad, but it's not something that you need to be in on a constant basis as a woman. It's definitely needed sometimes to do things and to be aggressive in your pursuit of things, okay? But when it comes to things like relationships, and when it comes to things like your career, and when it comes to things like your household, all you have to do as a feminine woman is be. And you have to be in the constant state of receiving. Now, in the constant state of receiving, there's something that happens, okay? When you are flourishing and you are at your feminine level, you will be bombarded and you will be plagued with people who are aiming to take that feminine energy away from you. Do you understand what I mean by that? Okay? Because we are in a constant state of receiving, tons of things will come towards you. And this is, by the way, why I disagree with some of the things that the law of attraction teaches. Okay. If you've ever heard about the secret of the law of attraction, it teaches you that what you get is what you're attracting. That's not always necessarily true, because when you're in the constant state of receiving, there will be things that come to you that you did not ask for. You'll have people trying to hurt you and betray you. There will be men that come into your life and try to play games with your heart and your mind and your spirit. There will be women that come into your life and they want to compete with you and they want to be angry with you because of who you are. You did not ask for those things. But because you are a woman and you're feminine and you're in the constant state of receiving, those things will pass you. And if they haven't passed you yet, live a little longer. They will. And that's why a lot of the times we are considered to be the weaker sex, not in the sense that we're weak, but in the sense that when you're in a constant state of receiving, you're opened up to different sorts of things and sometimes negative things. Okay. So off the bat, to flourish in your femininity, you have to have the spirit of discernment. Okay. Now, if for those of you that don't know what discernment is, okay, discernment is the ability to know the difference between what is and what is not. I'm sure that there's a more technical and professional definition, okay, but that's the rose gold definition. You have to be able to understand and decipher between what's real and what's fake, because if you do not, this world will suck the feminine energy out of you. And that's why you see a lot of women and they go around and they say, I'm a savage and I'm this and that. What they're trying to tell you is that they're numb on the inside. And that life has caused them to shell up and to guard and to callous that feminine energy because they've allowed the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong places inside, so they can no longer flourish in their femininity. That's what happens when you don't have discernment. Okay, this world will suck the feminine energy out of you. That love and that softness that you are born with as a woman, this world will take that from you if you let it. Okay, so if you don't want that to happen, discern. Okay, now I called it a spirit of discernment because if you don't call on God, and God to me is the Christ It's Christ Jesus. I've never been ashamed to say that. That's who God is to me. The Holy Spirit, the Father and the Son, the Trinity. That's who God is to me. You cannot have discernment without first tapping into that. Period. Argue with your mother. I don't have time to argue about that fact. But if you think that you can have the spirit of discernment by experience, or if you think that, I'm smart, nobody can fool me. All right. Have it your way. But I'm telling you, the devil is cold, man, and he know how to send people, places, and things at you that if you don't have the spirit of discernment, you will be tricked, and you will be tricked out your potential, and you won't do the things that God put you here to do because that discernment piece wasn't there. So you have to get discernment, okay? And if you really want to tap in to that feminine energy, this is just another point that's not written down here, but I just feel really driven to say this. You have to get out of that phase of competition and comparing. That's one of the number one ways that this world will suck the divine feminine energy out of you, is by trapping you into thinking that you have to compete and compare. And when I see women on social media and Facebook, and I see them, competing for men, or, I'm the side chick and, I can take anybody. When I see that type of talk, I can take anybody's man and, competitive behavior amongst women, it saddens me. And it saddens me because I know right then, as soon as I see a woman and she's competing with another woman or talking down about the next woman, or, being taking glory and being, sex with no relationship, or, taking glory in taking other people's men, I know right then and there she has lost her divine femininity. And it's sad. Because there's great things that God put you here to do, and you can't do them if you're in that. So don't get caught up in competing. If you have a man, ladies, and he's dealing with other women, don't compete with that. The best thing that you can do is let him have them. Do you understand that? Because fighting for a man's spot in his life, you are automatically no longer operating in your divine femininity. Okay? See, I didn't know this when I was a teenager and stuff like that. And I got married pretty early. I'm divorced now, but I got married pretty early. So, I didn't have that that competitive edge, fighting for men and things like that. But I see it often. And stop. Just stop. And I guarantee you your divine femininity will flourish. Okay? So, let me get back on track. To tap into your divine femininity. Okay, things like jealousy, comparing yourself, judgment, violence, raising your voice, screaming. These are all things that keep you far from your feminine power. Okay, and these are all masculine acts that men use because they don't possess feminine energy, or they don't possess feminine divinity. So when you see men and they communicate and they're loud and they're, they're competing with each other, and men, they're being jealous and they're doing other things. Those are masculine things. And men do that because they have to. They don't possess what we possess. Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? Do you feel me knocking? Go ahead and let me in. Okay, so there's a few ways that are practical, and they all start with R. I kind of like to do that. If you haven't noticed in my other episodes, I like to give you guys practical steps and what you can do to tap into the things that I'm talking about. So there are a few ways that you can tap into your feminine divinity if you haven't been operating at your full feminine potential. And you have not been on the path or the verge that that God has set out to you, or you feel like you always have to be a man. There are some men out here that bring the man out of you, and you stay away from men like that. There's some men that you can't be soft around. You can't be safe around them. You can't operate in a sweet space around them. Stay away from men like that. Because they don't know it, and I'm sure they don't mean to, but they're turning you into a man, and you don't want that. Some men want boyfriends, okay? They won't say that. They don't know that, but that's what they want. And just stay away from men that you can't be your soft and true self with. Okay. Now, this is not the question or the conversation about what ladylike is, because everybody, being ladylike is different to me and different to you. But what I'm talking about is divine feminine energy, that ability to walk into a room and every man in there wants to do for you. That ability when you're in a relationship men provide for you, not because you're begging or because you don't have it, but it's because they see you as the divine feminine and they take pride in wanting to take care of you. I'm talking about the divine energy that makes people automatically just want to love you. Okay? Women possess that, okay? And I'm finna tell you right now how to tap into this. And best of all, I'm telling it to you for free, okay? This type of game that I'm going to tell you, people will not tell you this, okay? The game is often sold, not told, okay? And so a lot of times you won't hear this kind of information, but let me go ahead and get right into it, okay? So the first thing that you want to do, if you want to tap into your divine feminine energy, okay? First and foremost is you want to reflect. Okay. And when I say reflect, okay, I mean reflect on the things that have happened to you in your life. Okay. Reflect on the choices that you've made. Okay. You can reflect in a bunch of different ways. I personally am a journaler and I have a personal therapist that I see. Okay. Because your friends and family, ladies, they don't want to hear that. Okay. They won't tell you this, but I love you, so I'm going to tell you. Your friends and family don't want to hear your problems all the time. And if you have medical, you have therapists that will. They will listen. And you talk to somebody who you can go from childhood to right now with exactly what it is that you've been through. Okay? Very important for your divine femininity. You know, people have their ways of explaining it, like your chakra being blocked and all of those different types of things. And I'm not knocking any of that. But I'm telling you right now, if you want to flood your divine feminine energy, you have to reflect, release, and forgive the things that have happened to you and the things that you've done to others. It's very easy as a woman in the 21st century to make mistakes. Okay, because there's no rule book, and what it means to be a woman is constantly changing, but what it means to be feminine will never change. Okay, and if you want to tap into your divine feminine energy, you have to reflect, you have to forgive, and speak to someone about the things that have happened to you. Find somebody you can trust. I don't care if you're listening to this and you're incarcerated, or maybe you're out, you're not incarcerated, and you just feel like there's nothing, there's no one in the world that you can trust. You can trust God. You could talk to God. I don't care if you have to lock yourself in the bathroom and you sit there for hours and hours and you tell God what was done to you, and you tell God what you've done to others. However you want to do it, okay? Release that. And reflect on your life and what has been done and what you've done to others. Okay. The second thing that I want you to do to tap into your divine feminine energy, okay, is I want you to recognize, okay, I want you to recognize that you may have been taught incorrectly about life, about friends, about men, about keeping a man. A lot of what we were taught about being feminine and being a woman was absolutely wrong. I know a lady, and I know a lady, and her philosophy in life, okay, her entire philosophy was that it doesn't matter if the man that you want has a woman or is in a committed relationship or in a committed marriage. If he wants you, you've already won him. That is her entire philosophy. And I can tell you that that woman is in her late 50s and is still very lonely. But that is what she had been taught. Do you hear me? She had been taught that. There are women who don't trust women. No matter what you do, you can't trust females. Don't be around females. Females are dirty. They will stab you in the back. Taught that. And can you imagine all of the wonderful, amazing connections and network opportunities and wisdom that you would miss out on if you walk around with the mindset that all women are evil? But there are people that are taught that. All men cheat. That's another common one. Early on in my life, I can remember, my mom used to really think that. She doesn't think like that anymore, thank God. But she used, all men cheat. I don't care what he is or how. That is so untrue. But can you imagine what that does to a person's mind and what that does to a person's dating life when they are told that all men cheat? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what women settle for when they are taught that? That's not true. If it was true, it would be in the Bible. And that's just what I believe. It's all men don't cheat. So if you want to tap into your feminine divine energy, the second thing that I want you to do is you have to recognize that some of the things you may have been taught about being a woman and womanhood and even life in general is wrong. This is why it's important that you talk to people, okay, that are maybe further ahead of you in life, or they're doing better in areas. It's important that you talk to people, because you will never know that the things you were taught are wrong until you discuss them with someone else. Okay, you just won't know that. You won't. No one will bring that to your attention unless you speak it out loud. Okay, unless you speak to someone. So when I said the first step is reflect, this is part of that process. Second thing you want to do is you want to recognize that some of the things that you may have been taught is wrong. Being married by, just throw this last thing out there in regards to recognize, being married at a certain age. God didn't make everybody to be married. Okay, if you have somebody telling you that, I want you to tell them to show you that in the Bible. Now, every woman has the desire to be number one and to control the man in their life. That's in the Bible. It's part of the curse. Okay, but as far as you know, there are people that drive themselves sick and silly to be married, which is by far the most powerful and wonderful institution. I got an episode coming out about marriage very, very soon, just so that you know. But everybody, that's not for everybody. And there are women who literally kill themselves and work themselves to the grave to be a wife, and they're ashamed and they walk around sad. Recognize that everything you were taught growing up is not right. Okay. The third thing, reject. Every woman has had her feminine divinity and identity mixed and screwed or misconstrued by accepting labels and attributes that are not correct. So I need you to reject the negative labels and attributes that this world has placed on you. Okay? Reject the way people treat you if it's not good. Reject what the media says you should be. Reject what your boyfriend or your girlfriend is telling you that you should be. There's only one way that you need to be if you are a woman, and that is embracing, and that is in receiving your divine feminine energy, period. Don't let nobody tell you that who you are. You know, a lot of times I remember being in relationships with people, and you know, when I would call them out on their BS, and I would call them out on the things that they were doing that they were wrong. You know, they wanted to convince me that I was insecure or that I was jealous. Reject that stuff. You know, when I was 300 pounds, you know, I had people telling me that I shouldn't date, and that reject that type of stuff. You know, you may not have the body, you may not have the mind, but you got your divine feminine energy, baby. And as long as you got that, what they won't tell you, as long as you got that divine feminine energy that I'm teaching you how to have right now, as long as somebody somewhere will want you. So you reject those messages that you have to be anything but a woman. Reject it right now. Reject it. Okay? Third, okay, that was the third. Fourth thing, is I want you to revive. Okay? I want you to revive the person and the woman that you wanted to be when you were a little girl. As a little girl, God places in us things that escape us as we get grown. Okay? They escape us because life gets in the way, or maybe we have children, or maybe we get caught up in relationships, and those dreams and those doctrines that were written for us, they get lost. They get lost. And that doesn't make you a good or bad person. But now that you're aware, you can revive those things. Okay? The only way to awaken and live at your full potential is to get in touch with God. Specifically your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, we can argue about the meaning of that later. But hidden things will be revealed to you. People live successful lives. Women live successful lives, and they live their dreams without Jesus Christ, but they don't be fulfilled in their lives and in their dreams without it. Trust me, I know what I'm saying. I would be a fool to sit here and tell you that every successful or person of valor, is designed to and is a believer in Christ. That's not true. That's not true at all. But I can guarantee you that those people are not fulfilled. So if you want to revive those dreams that God has placed inside of you, get in touch with your maker. Get that relationship with your maker. Read your Bible. Find out what the Bible has to say about you being a woman. And I guarantee you, something will click inside of you. For me, it happened when I turned 25. Something will click inside of you. And there will be nothing and no one that can stop you. Once you tap into and you revive that thing inside of you that died, there's nothing that nobody can tell you. Okay? Receive is the last thing. You are worthy of great things. I don't care what you've done in your life. I don't care what has been done to you. If you go to my website and you buy something from me at rosegoldlenses.com, the first thing you will see, you are worthy of great things. I orchestrated that on purpose. Because until you can receive the notion that God created you as a woman to receive great things, you will always settle. And instead of you being selective with who you date, you'll like who like you. You know, you'll freak who want to freak you instead of being selective. And instead of really understanding that you are worthy of great things and that you were put here to do great things, you will always settle for less. So you have to receive. And this is not attached to, the heartache and pain that you've been through, because I know that that is a real thing. But even outside of that, your gifts and your talents will expose you to great things that you can't imagine, because those were things that were given to you by God. Okay? So you have to the last step is going to be receiving. Receiving the good things that God has for you. Receiving nothing but the best. And this is not about having a checklist. This is not about, demanding. And this is not about, I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to be me. This is all outside of that. Okay? This is about you specifically being in the state of receiving. I'm going to allow great things in my life because I am worthy. I'm going to allow peace and harmony into my mind, body, and soul because I am worthy of great things. And God put me here to receive great things. I don't care where you are in your life. These things can be done for you. Okay? There is no weakness in being a woman. Okay. And at 25, when I was preparing to divorce a man that I loved very much, I tapped into this divinity of being feminine and being able to rest and being great and allowing God to work through me so that I don't have to do anything but simply be. And while I still make mistakes, I curse, I smoke, I drink alcohol, I do things that can definitely cripple that divine feminine energy, as long as you have that part. That connection to your maker, and you are able to receive great things, and you're in a constant state of bettering the women around you, you will not fail. God won't allow you to fail because you're too valuable. Listen here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but by God, you have decided to be here with me. And I cannot thank you and tell you how much I love you enough. If you're listening to me and you want to hear something, you want me to talk about something, send me an email, heartbreakhillpodcast@gmail.com. Okay. Also, we are now offering promotions. Okay. We have already started doing it and it is working out for people. There is a pricing model on our website, Heartbreak Hill Podcast. While you at it, like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, and follow us on Twitter, Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Listen, it's all love, no judgment. Until next time, you guys operate on a high frequency and don't let anyone take your power. This is International Women's Month, and you do your thing. You strunt your stuff, and you don't let nobody tell you different. All right? All love, no judgment. Mwah!